Hey everyone, Mherex here, bringing you another video. This one I'm going to be doing my Prizewall breakdown for the Rocky event. I only do the Prizewall breakdown sometimes because a lot of times there's not a lot of tokens. I think there's going to be a wide variance of how many tokens people have. I've talked to a lot of people that are in the 50s to 70s. I've talked to a lot of people that are in the 20s to 40s. And I've seen a few people say they didn't get to 20. Although personally, I think that you could. I know on my stream, I talked to a guy with a very small roster, and he managed to get a fair amount. Like he was in the, I want to say he got to like 48, maybe ish, and he does not have a big roster. He's not a spender. He didn't spend, so I think there are good options here for people. So I also want to start with and point out that I think whatever you take on a prize wall should be uniquely tailored to your roster. And in general, this one more than normal, because I think there's a lot of really close things, right? Like, which may make a difference for some people and not for others. So keep that in mind. Also, I have a specific playstyle and preference this game, and I have a certain philosophy with how to build my roster, and that shapes how I view things on the prize wall. I will try and explain that so you can see if my thoughts fit, right? So let me start with, I do think if you don't have Rocky 76 or Clubber, those are the absolute best picks this time, right? I think Clubber is the more valuable trainer personally. Rocky does go up to all move damage 100%, but it's a trainer. And most of the move damage people have 100% for the specific color they're using that gives 2 MP. So I think he's much more situational. A Clubber, when you need a Health Steal trainer and can use one, also kind of rare. He's the king of that, right? He's the best Health Steal trainer in the game. So I think these two are by far the best thing to get. If you don't have them, make sure you get them. Either one of them. And I think that's pretty clear cut. Rocky 4 we're not talking about. If you get enough to get him, obviously you should. And here's where it gets really interesting. Um, Affiliation straps. People ask all the time, should I put an affiliation character or strap on X character? And I'm like, well, the first thing I say is, how often do you need two of that trainer at the same time? Um, like if it's an MP trainer, all of those should have an affiliation strap, no question. That's like the first spot. Dual MP trainers are number one. Regular MP trainers are number two. Sherry's number three for me at trainers. Like that's literally the way I look at trainers and the order I want affiliations. Those are always in high demand. Coaches, Santa Hogan, number one at coach, always in high demand, right? So if you have those um, characters that you're using all the time as a trainer, that's who you want an affiliation on. So what I tell people on how to value these is, how often have you wanted to put Apollo on two people at the same time? How often have you wanted to put Rocky on the same person at the same time? How often have you wanted to put Clubber on the same person at the same time? If you never needed to do that, then I don't put an affiliation on them, and I don't like necessarily value it highly. Of course, that can change tomorrow, right? We could have a run of health steal people that have low charge moves and you need Clubber on them. We could have a run of bleed people that have low charge moves and you can throw Apollo on as a trainer, etc., etc. I will say, if you're big into getting 99 MP people, then Rocky's trainer has added value a lot of times, right? So like Rowan, for example, during 99 MP heavy move damage, Rocky adds 100% to all colors. You could run um Rocky with Asuka for black finisher takedown, and then add another 100% with Rocky if you didn't have, say, EO, right? So I think Rocky's is going to be much more useful during 99 MP. Out of 99 MP, there's not a lot of, I think, times you're going to end up using him, to be honest. So just the way it seems to work, but that could, of course, end up being wrong, like always. I do want to show you guys something when you're thinking about affiliations. The strap filter is new, so maybe we're not thinking about using it. So what I would say to do is go into your titles, right? Go into your filter, and then let's, in this case, you're looking for one for Striker Rocky, right? So you're going to click Striker, you're going to click Legend Era, and then you're going to click Affiliation. You can see I have 5. I don't need one. So you can instantly see if you need one. I have plenty of affiliations for Legend Striker, don't need one. I look at Powerhouse, I also have 5. So I don't need one for Clubber. I have 5 and none are in use, right? So I don't need a Clubber affiliation. And then finally, let's go to Apollo. Boom. Also have 5, and only 1's in use on Santa Hogan. So again, no issue. And then just hypothetically, because I haven't checked because I'm not getting him, Tech Rocky. I would have 1 for Tech Rocky. So I don't need any of them. That's how I would go about it. If you're thinking about affiliation strap, make sure you double check those. Okay, so moving on, we have the MP plates. This one is cheaper at 4, so I like that. I don't have Thrill of the Fight, I don't have Prey in the Night, I don't have Eye of the Tiger, and I don't have Last Known Survivor. There's a reason for that. These plates do show up on the prize wall. The Chucker plates also show up on the prize wall. And I might not have Rising Up, I would have to look. I do have Challenge of Arrival. One other thing is all of these plates are in the stipulation tours. You can get every single one of these plates from the stipulation store. I think they're in the marquee one on the weekend, but I could even be wrong about that. But all of them, for a fact, are in the stipulation store. So I don't have FOMO about these plates because I know I can get them, right? And also, I'll talk more about that in a minute when we get there. I personally, and this is probably going to hurt some feelers, put very low value on all of these plates, and I'll explain why later. And that's going to be, actually, I'll just do it now. But that's again custom to my roster, and here's why. And I know this is going to annoy some people, but unless it's an MP, or I'm sorry, doesn't move the pin bar move, anytime you use one of these plates, it's a chance to cascade. What do you mean, Mherex? Well, if you want the effect to happen, you have to break gems. So if the character doesn't have a no move pin bar, there's a chance I'm to cascade. Right now in the and people think it's just about speed. That's not the case. What it is for me is I have so many options, literally at this point probably getting close to 20, maybe 30 options, that I win without cascading ever and having 0 risk. So to use somebody and give them risk, to me, is silly, right? Now, that being said, these plates can come in handy in boss, where you don't have to worry about cascading. But that's my logic on the MP plates, is I don't want to use them because it means I have a chance to cascade. Granted, in some cases, very rare cases, that's the only way you can use somebody with a specific setup. But if that's their setup, I don't want to use them because I have way better options. Obviously, if you have fun with that playstyle, if you really like that card, if you're a mark for them, none of that applies. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about logic with the prize wall on my roster. Now, if your roster doesn't have a ton of safe guys, then that doesn't apply to you, right? Also, I think if you haven't thought in that fashion, with the way the game is changing, to me, meta isn't damage. Hasn't been for a while. Meta is safety and speed. You only need to hit hard enough, and after that, nothing else matters. So if you haven't thought in terms of how can I be more efficient, you probably can, because there's a lot of options there. And that actually brings me to the gem chucker plates. Probably going to hurt some feels here. These add very little damage. Honestly, you break 4 gems, you chuck 10. At least half the time, the 10 gems you chuck don't connect, but like maybe 3 gems or less, right? Think about when we used to use random generate characters throw 10 random gems on a board to load something else, how often do those actually hit a significant amount of gems? 3 gems is going to add very little damage in almost all cases. There are a few exceptions. And I do want to talk about one thing that I think everyone's going to be like, a movable object and Maze Crown. Yes, you can use a movable object in your ultimate and put Maze Crown in your primary. And if you get really, really, really lucky and match 10 or 7 yellow gems out of the 10 you're throwing, you will proc the Maze Crown. However, honestly, you are not going to do that often. So if you're somebody that loves gambling to get a big hit and using 2 plates to gamble with and taking up 2 plate slots so you can gamble and maybe hit it, then I think this is a fantastic plate for you. If that doesn't sound like your cup of tea, then please don't listen to everyone saying this plate's amazing with Maze Crown. It's really not. It's really, really not. It's situationally okay, and if you gamble, then you'll love it. But other than that, no, not so much. What's good with Maze Crown is the yellow to green. So you're chucking 20 with Maze and 10 more additional with the yellow to green. That gives you 30, and you're getting lots of connections. It turns it into a sheriff's badge, essentially, for green. That's what's good with Maze Crown. But that plate isn't on this wall. Underdog Story is really good on Powerhouse Brawn in conjunction with Viper Strike, because you can get up to 17 potentially extra red gems, and he buffs all color gems with his buff on Powerhouse Brawn, but it's still only 17 gems, and as someone who used Powerhouse Brawn a ton, and I used this and Viper Strike on him the whole time, he will sometimes not get very many, only chucking 17. And even in one of the best cases to me, which is Powerhouse Brawn, it doesn't add a ton of damage. And that's legitimately one of the best cases I can make for a gem chucking plate. It usually adds just a little bit of damage. And if you need just a little bit of damage, that's okay. Go ahead and grab it. Now, with that being said, I also want to add that every time you use a gem chucker plate, it takes longer to resolve the move. What do you mean, Mherex? I mean, so if you have somebody that's hitting 70 million, don't put a gem chucker plate on them. It's a waste of time. Literally, you're already hitting hard enough. You put this on to hit for an extra 2 million. Why? It's just slowing you down for 2 million damage you don't need, right? That's how I look at it. I'm not telling you not to get any of these plates. I'm telling you logically why I don't. However, if I had somebody that was hitting for like 60 million, I would 100% put one of these on because I would need all the extra damage I could get. Which brings me to Challenge of Our Rival, and probably my biggest gripe currently with people and putting a plate on somebody is Challenge of Our Rival on Bailey. What do you mean, Mherex? Bailey's a Ferrari. Bailey is not a truck, right? If William Regal is a truck, hits hard, but not fast. Bailey is literally a Ferrari. She's a finely tuned speed demon. Well, there is no way I would ever want to do anything to slow her down. Now, that being said, if you can't hit hard enough with Bailey without this plate, then absolutely get this plate. So of the MP plates, I would put the most value on this one and also the least value on this one for Bailey. So no way under God's green earth would I ever put this on Bailey. I think it's a horrible, horrible choice on Bailey with my roster. But if you don't have my roster, if you don't have what I have, then there's that, right? But literally the silence move that gives you no chance to cascade, Bailey with a 50% strap, Mellow, and Santa hits for 90 million. If you don't have Mellow and Santa, then you start looking at this plate potentially. That being said, you don't need the plate if you have a decent move damage strap and takedown medals that are maxed. And I show that in my preview because you can hit the black move in extra time and she still does over 70 million. You could put this plate on with that build too, but it's an extra click and you've already killed them, so why would you do an extra move animation when you don't need to, right? The only reason to use that plate and the extra move is if you can't kill them otherwise. That's why I say putting this on Bailey is like driving a Ferrari like a truck. Bailey's a Ferrari, not a truck. But if you don't have Ferrari Bailey, then yeah, go ahead and grab that plate. That's why I say this Prizewall is, in particular, more than most, is really, really tuned to your roster, right? Somebody on my stream asked me, of all the plates on here, which ones do I use on my roster? And the answer is none of them. There isn't a plate on this roster, on this thing, that I would use on my roster right now, right? And that's the truth. I'm not saying they're bad. They're not. But I'm trying to logically tell you guys what my thought process is. So you get to these 40 straps. If you get enough for these, there is a fella on my stream who has Striker Bray, and he also has Ozzy. But he only has a 10% gem damage strap for Muscle Man Bray and Ozzy. Ozzy can't hit hard enough with a 10% strap because he doesn't have a nearing end. Wolfman Ozzy, by the way. And so I'm just giving an example here. Bray hits harder for him, but with a 10% strap, the worst Bunders can do is a 40% gem damage, which is legitimately a 30% gem damage upgrade to two of the best characters on his roster. That's the worst he can do. He's got a 33 and a third% chance. I'm gonna avoid doing the Steiner promo to hit each of these. They're equal chance, right? So worst he can do is 40. If he gets a 60, it's a 50% upgrade, and if he hits a home run, it's a 90% upgrade. So on a roster like Bunder's roster that I'm talking about here, the example I'm giving, this strap is way more valuable than any of these plates for him, right? Along the same lines as we just did, though, before you decide that, I would recommend, unless you know, again, go into your roster, hit your titles button, use your filter, and then go ahead and hit, I'm going to go legendary on this one. Go ahead and hit legendary, gem damage, and let's check our strikers. I have 3 gem damage striker straps. I have a 130, a 60, and a 20. For me, 100 would be welcome, right? A 60 would be welcome since I have 2 in use. And a 40 even would be an upgrade over this. So I kind of like that even on my roster with all the straps that I have, right? I do actually like that. So let's check Powerhouse. I don't currently use any Legend Powerhouse, I don't think. Again, I only have 3. I have a 130 for Clubber, a 60, and a 40. So again, it's a chance for me to upgrade my strap game. I'm not using any actively, but still, I could be soon, right? And then who's the other one? Showboat. Let's check Legend Showboat. This one's really weak. 2 straps, 100 and a 40. So just looking at these, I would get a Showboat one first. That's the one I would get first because my strap game is super weak there. And straps to me are way more important right now than a MP plate or a 10 gem chuck plate that both potentially slow me down or give me cascade risk. That's my logic, right? Tech Rocky's not in play. He's also move damage, but just theoretically, because there's other technicians. Oh, look, I actually have trash straps for Legendary Techs. So Legendary Tech now becomes the one I would go for the most out of those 4. So the strap filter can help you make really good choices on prize walls if you just take a little time and check. I have 100 on May, but it's a May only strap. So I know for me, I really need legendary straps, so I'm going to gamble for sure on this one. Worst I can do, it's 10% worse than my best, and it'll give me some depth at the strap and potentially upgrade me massively. So yeah, That's how I look at that. I put zero value on these. This is a renewable resource. You can always get more resources. Worst thing to pick. This is what you spend your extra on. So as far as, like I said, who's good on what, MP plates that are interesting to me: Prey on the Night on Rocker, um, this one on Bailey potentially, but I also super hate it because of the reasons I listed. Um, Underdog Stories pretty solid. Kevin Owens show pretty solid. They're solid when you need them. I just don't love them because they slow you down. But Challenge of Arrival, Yellow, Black, whatever, they're all kind of good. I like the price on Thrill of the Fight. It's really hard, and we did this same thing on my stream where I'm trying to give advice to people, and it's really, really hard. Um, but I would say I love the price on this. So, like, you know, you could get 2/8 if you have 20 and you don't need an affiliation, you don't need Clubber, you don't need Rocky. I would say get Thrill of the Fight for 4, get Prey in the Night for 8, and get Challenge of Arrival for 8. That's what I would do with the 20 if I didn't need these two. This is really long, but I'm trying to explain the thought process because I don't just want to tell you guys what to do because it's your roster, not mine. I want to give you reasons so you can make a good choice, right? Now, if you get to 40, I obviously, and this probably at this point won't surprise anyone, um, would take the 40 strap. In my case, even over, and I'm missing Last Known Survivor. I think I'm missing Rising Up, and I know I'm missing these three. But I would, if I had 40 tokens, I would literally take a Technician gem strap that I'm currently not in need of actively, just so I had one better than the 50 I have on Dusty, right? So I guess that's my Prizewall breakdown. I really do hope this was helpful. And please don't think I'm encouraging you not to get these plates. I'm trying to, everyone's roster's at a different level, right? If you have somebody you love using and you know these plates will make them significantly better, then go for it, please. I just don't feel like these are really game changers in my opinion. Um, and people are gonna say, is this good on a character? Does this make this character better? The answer is yes. If you make them hit for 10 damage more, it's better. So you put the gem chuckers on somebody, they're better. But is that really accurate? Or, I mean, it's accurate, but does it even, do they make a difference? And most of the time the answer is nah, they don't. So don't stress over the prize well too hard. Make the best choice for your roster. Have a reason for why you did it, and if you have a reason, then you're good, right? That's all we can do. We don't know what the future holds. Um, and that's my thoughts on it. So hopefully that helped. Let me know in the comments what you think. I feel like there's going to be some people that are really frustrated with me, and maybe some people this really helps. So let me know one way or the other, because I don't do prize wall breakdown videos a lot, because often the currency is limited, or the options are limited. And in short, though, I think this is a solid event, simply because a ton of people, like, if you had all of the characters except Rocky, you probably don't like this event. But if you didn't have Rocky, you didn't have Apollo, you could get them for 40 bucks. And if you didn't have any of these plates and they make a difference on your roster, you probably got some really good stuff for free, and Apollo for, in our game, relatively cheap, right? So let me know what you think in the comments. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and it helped. Remember to like, subscribe, and share, because that really helps me out. Other than that, guys, thanks for watching. Good luck out there. Man, that took forever. And seriously, guys, I really, really hope this is helpful. I get concerned sometimes because the way I look at building my roster is different because it's large. So I hope I'm not out of touch with you guys. Let me know in the comments, please.